How much of that was said to Roki?
I think it might have been a case of too little, too late, because the Rays were in the headlines for not so very good reasons, and it's probably his management and agents were like, I don't know if you want to be dealing with this.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulysses Zambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs or Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our sixth season covering the Rays daily.
And every season up till 2024, the Rays have gone to the playoffs, but you can still grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
All right, Ulysses, on today's program, Fun Friday here, we will be talking about the Rays' Roki Sasaki sweepstakes that unfolded in a bad way because of the whole stadium debacle. But they did spend money elsewhere on many of free or international signing, not a free agent signing, but an international signing, just unloading money in that department. We also have baseball trivia and Name That War. But first, Ulysses, I think you have something to share with the audience du jour.
We do have something to share, and this is going to be now a new segment on the show. And yes, for those that are audio only, I really do beg you to go to YouTube, at least for these next 10 seconds.
There we go. 29 days since the stadium bonds were approved, and we haven't heard much on the front since then. Ball is in the Rays court.
We've heard zilch. We haven't even gotten a happy holidays or happy new year from our buddy Stu or company. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're going to keep counting down because it's been kind of a month.
Before you know it, it's going to be February, then March, and the Rays need to get their paperwork and documentation in order if that is their intention to proceed on having a new ballpark in St. Petersburg. And if MLB has anything to say about that, push, nudge, trying to get that done, I think is top of mind and top of priority there. So,
yes.
All right. Saw an article recently from Mark Topkin regarding the Rays' interest in Roki Sasaki, who is essentially ranked as the top international free agent out of Japan. The whole lowdown is he would theoretically receive a signing bonus in the $5 million range and then get a minor league contract or make the major league minimum and be under team control for 6 years. So you could have a situation, if he's as good as everybody says he is, outside of the $5 million deployment, you'd be getting a league minimum player up till arbitration. And then, for most organizations, very affordable from there. And, sometimes I would think, well, I mean, do the Rays really need to be in the sweepstakes? They seem to have enough pitchers. Well, you never have enough pitchers, as is the case usually with the majors and injuries and guys going down and so forth. But it also got me thinking that if the Rays were to land a Roki Sasaki and they were confident in him being able to perform in 2025, that may open a lane for them to trade, I don't know, like a Zach Littell or somebody of that ilk, and maybe boost the offense while still being comfortable and confident with your pitching depth. But alas, that will not happen because Sasaki is down to choosing between, I believe, the Blue Jays, Dodgers, and Padres. And I think there might have been some reports out there that the Blue Jays might be out of the running, which is good if you're a Rays fan, because you don't want to have to see this impotent Rays offense face the likes of Roki Sasaki, again, assuming he's as good as he was or close to as good as he was in Japan, and follows the lead of many other Japanese pitcher that has had success at the major league level. Unlike many Japanese-based hitters, it seems like pitching seems to work more for those guys going from Japan to the majors versus the hitters, but I digress from that. So that's what we have on the Roki Sasaki front.
Yeah, no, it's everything that people have said about him and what I personally watched from the World Baseball Classic and the clips here and there that you see on Twitter and YouTube. Yeah, I mean, the guy should be able to dominate. He's got the stuff to be, again, like a Yamamoto, like a guy that comes in and demands 300 million plus in a contract. But like you said, he's a different case. This is kind of like the Shohei Ohtani case, where you're going to have this guy be really affordable for the kind of value that he is. So the Rays are basically, they have not a master's, but they have a PhD in getting people that are going to give you a lot of production, and you don't have to pay them a lot. The Rays have that PhD down. But there was a quote in that article that you said saying that the hurricane, I think, put us in a really difficult spot, losing the Trop, not knowing where we're going to be, put us in a difficult spot with Roki. But I do think that Sasaki really appreciated the conversations that we had there, or that they had there. A lot to unpack there, Kev, because if losing the Trop obviously is going to be a detriment, if you're a pitcher, especially, you're like, oh wait, I have to pitch in a minor league ballpark, take away the amenities and all that comes with, but also smaller dimensions, I'm going to be at risk of my numbers inflating. Like, it's just a bad experience for the pitcher. But if you're the Rays, wouldn't you also try to make the argument, just like they did, I think 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago, when they said, hey, you know what? We're expecting the Trop to be open in 2026. I'm hopeful that was told to Roki Sasaki that, hey, it's only for 1 year. We want the Trop to be rebuilt. We want it to be, done for the next 2 to 3 years, and then we'll have the stadium deal. Like, how much of that was said to Roki?
I think it might have been a case of too little, too late, because the Rays were in the headlines for not so very good reasons. And it's probably his management and agents were like, I don't know if you want to be dealing with this sideshow simultaneously while you're trying to get acclimated to the majors in a new country, in a new environment. And, it's you're playing someplace 1 year, and the next year you're playing in another place. And then what happens if the Trop doesn't get built on time? I mean, it's not the first time that a construction delay has happened, and people are throwing out, well, what about Orlando? What about Omaha? I just think it was too many factors. And there's other teams like the Dodgers who seem to be in a better foothold than the Rays, namely because they actually have Japanese-born players on their roster. I think that's a big factor.
That's
for
huge.
A guy like this with Yamamoto and Shohei. I mean, that's about as easy as it gets. For not only are you going to go to a franchise that has a really, really good shot to win the championship again, but at least you have some immediate comfortability, which I think was probably a challenge for a guy like Yoshi Satsugo a couple years ago. So, maybe not to play Monday morning quarterback, but if Yoshi was successful and still with the team, then maybe it would be a different conversation. But I think it makes it a lot easier when you're among your peers and you speak the language. And California, I've just done some very base level research on this, but I believe that state in particular, definitely the Bay Area, but even Los Angeles and the surrounding numerous cities in that area have a relatively high Japanese culture and population. So I think that also makes things a little bit easier to stomach if you're a guy like that. And being on the West Coast Pacific,
Yeah,
I think there's many factors that kind of downgrade the Rays in that respect. Plus, there's the other consideration of you're almost having to do, because we are talking about the international free agency, you almost have to do a bait and switch, or it's kind of snaky what's happening because of Roki's posting, where you have teams that are kind of holding these Latin American players in the wings in hopes of landing Roki. And if you land Roki, you don't have the money to sign those guys that you probably made some sort of verbal agreement to. And then they're, so to speak, out on the street, or they have to take a much lesser deal than what you promised them. So that also makes it tough from that perspective of you're trying to play both sides, waiting until Roki makes his decision. So when probably the writing was on the wall that, Roki wasn't that high on the Rays list, or they weren't among the 3 or 4 or 5 finalists, they said, okay, now let's really delve deep into landing the guys we want in the international section in Latin America.
A lot there, Kev. I don't know what to attack first. I think, comfortability factor, 100%, right? I mean, I personally speaking, I've been in a place where I didn't know anybody, I was new and didn't speak the language. That's tough. That's tough. So,
and plus, all eyes are on you.
Well, because he's going in a small market like the Rays, like I believe, like, or whatever adjective you want to say. People get so upset with smaller market, but
smaller market in comparison to LA or Toronto.
It's kind of like, even in a small pond, he would be the biggest fish here. Right. He would. I mean, people would gravitate towards that, and Japanese media would come, and now it automatically gets bigger. So the spotlight that he wants to avoid is going to be harder, I think, to maintain it in a small market. Like, it's counterintuitive. You think, oh, smaller market, less media, he would be happy. But he would, in a small market like the Rays, he would become the biggest guy. Like, he would. And so the Japanese media would come, it would automatically make it a bigger thing, and he would be on the spotlight. So kind of hiding himself between Freddie Freeman, Hall of Famer, Mookie Betts, Hall of Famer, Shohei Ohtani, Hall of Famer, Clayton Kershaw, Hall of Famer. Like, it helps a little bit to 2-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell. Like, he would kind of, not have to be on the spotlight all the time. And I think that's probably what he is searching for, because that's what his agent said. Which, trivia fact, it's the same agent than Yoshi Tsutsugo BT'd up. So what you said after that, if Yoshi would have maybe had a little bit better of a time with the Rays, that might have swayed a little. But Kevin, I do have to ask you to sway people to utilize something.
Oh, I'll sway people. Hopefully, that is Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Well, that definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And guess what? Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It was like having a personal assistant for your finances. Well, Rocket Money, it's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. So go ahead, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. One more time for everybody in the back, rocketmoney.com/LOCKEDON. All right. Yeah. Okay. So Roki Sasaki, not going to be a Ray.
Not a Ray.
And maybe it's just, I think, kind of cool. I remember a couple years ago, the Rays had so many different players from so many different countries. I think there is something to be said of having a Korean or Japanese presence on your team, just maybe for that extra exposure that you can get. Maybe you grow the fan base more so internationally. And I just like the style of play that those players bring to the table. Again, we all wish that Yoshi would have worked out. It didn't. I think there were some reasons behind that. And I think it's time that the Rays find a successful Japanese player that can make an impact in uniform, because it's like once every 7 years we sign one, and who's to say they're even successful? I mean, I remember
Akinori Iwamura is the most successful.
Yeah, he's the figurehead. You had Hideki Matsui on his last leg. Yoshi we know of, and then a couple years ago they signed Yoki Uesawa, who we thought was going to maybe develop into something, and alas, that didn't happen. I believe he was signed to a minor league deal with an invite to spring training. But I think Sasaki and Uesawa are on two different wavelengths. I mean, people are talking about Roki being like immediately a number one, number two. Yeah,
like he's a top of the rotation guy. Uesawa was like he didn't even make it out of spring training with the Rays. Like,
exactly.
But you said something there that I want to. Yes, you're 100% right. Like, the adding of the Japanese player or the Korean player does bring attention to your club from that country, because, dude, I've told you about this, like the baseball game in Japan that I went.
Yeah.
That was one of the that was more electric than a playoff game. And it was just a regular season game. Every player has a song sang to the player by the audience, by the crowd.
Yeah.
Every single one has a different one. It's incredible. The Venezuelan player that was there, the chant had the first notes be the same thing as our national anthem. It was sick. So you take one player of theirs and you put him in the major leagues, they're going to follow that player. They're going to care about that player. So if you were lucky enough to get one of those guys to have success with the Rays, I mean, the Rays are already a world brand, as we know from this podcast, from everybody that writes us across the globe. But I mean, having a successful Japanese player, I mean, that would just do wonders for this team.
Yeah, and it's literally been since Iwamura. I mean, we were in high school back when his successes occurred. So we are due for something like that. Speaking of international players, the Rays made a bevy of international signings the other day. Luckily for them, they were the MLB co-high with pool money, around $7.5 million. And I believe they've already spent 6.99 of that 7.5 plus $1 million. And guys that are 16, 17 years old suddenly got a lot richer.
Oh yeah. I mean, the top go-getter was 1.6 mil.
Yeah.
Eliomar Garces and Michael Coret. And then the last guy, left-hander Jensi Duran, for $10K, man. Like, honestly, like, if we can just have an honest conversation about this, it would be great, because I'd like to pose this question to you after I say good for those kids.
Yes.
Good for those families.
For them to work hard in a third world country and get that payday. And hopefully they don't have a sly agent that, takes 9/10 of it.
Right, exactly. Like, I just want to congratulate those families, those players. Like, their hard work is shown off, and good for them. I mean, this could be life-changing money for them, and that would be fantastic. So good on them. That's the most important thing, I think, about international signings, to be quite frank. Like, I'm a big baseball fan, but like, that's the number one for me. The number two is, I hope they succeed, but then let's have the honest conversation that I want. They're 16 years old.
Right.
So much stuff can happen, Kev. Like, so much.
Yes. We talk about the MLB draft being a crapshoot, and you're talking about high schoolers that are seniors, 18, 19-year-old, and college players that are 22, 23-year-old, whatever it may be. But this is a whole different level. I think it is a bigger crapshoot with the international signings, and as much or more money is thrown out to these guys with the hopes of landing a Juan Soto or a Fernando Tatis or Rafael Devers. But if you go back and look at, and maybe this is just bad on the people doing the evaluating for MLB.com and Fangraphs and Baseball Perspectives and all these places, is like if you go year by year and look at the quote unquote top 30 international free agent prospects,
Right.
It's like, yeah, there might be a year where you've heard of 5 or 6 and 2 of them are stars, but there's some years where it's like I don't recognize any of these names from this draft in 2016, or not draft, but signing period in 2016 or 2017 or 2019, something like that. Really,
so much can happen, man.
Yes. Yeah, really, I think not saying this is, the way to play it, end all be all, but I feel like you get just as much out of throwing little crummies, the 10,000, the 25,000, the 50,000, 100,000 to just a bunch of guys, spread it around, guys that are maybe late bloomer, late development types that haven't filled out into their body, and see what they can do. The Rays have actually had a modicum of success with that, where, the guys that are getting 1.5, 2, 2.5, $3 million, they might be a finished product at 16, 17 years old. They might not really get all that much better. They might have peaked, quite frankly.
And the guys like Johnny Chirinos and Alvarez, I mean, you pick the guys that actually made it, Colomé, like they weren't the ones that were getting millions. They signed for like 20,000. There's also like a chip on the shoulder mentality too, right? Like if you're thinking maybe you should have gotten more, it's all about that human spirit thing. But I do have a question for you, Kev. If we had green Skittles and we had to say which one of these guys, is going to be making it, where would I go, man?
I think there's only one place to go, and that would be FanDuel.
That is right, because from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. So you just got to visit FanDuel.com. You join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All
right, there we go. So hopefully among these names, we put it out on the graphic. Hopefully one or two can pop off and make an impact, but I would not necessarily put all your green Skittles on that. In fact, I would probably bet against the guys that got more than $1 million. If you are going to drop a bag or multiple bags on a player, make sure you do your due diligence to the fullest extent. I'm talking about interviewing the gas station clerk,
the janitor from his high school.
Exactly. Yes, all that and more. But yeah, it's funny because even when you, not saying this is...
Wait, I'm sorry to cut you off. I do want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Do we use 5-tool player too loosely nowadays? Everybody's a 5-tool player now?
It did seem like with a lot of these picks, it was, I think they're all athletes until, they just get older. And, well, I think also some of it is, they might be quote unquote 5-tool players against their competition that they're playing, but put them in low A, and then 3 of those 5 tools don't look so good anymore. So yes, I think it is vastly overused, and it should only be reserved for the elite of the elite.
Thank you. That's all the point I wanted to make, man. Because it's, man, you read every article and it gets dropped like 4 times. Like, come on, like let's be a little bit more conservative about the.
I know it's like 5-tool player, and then you're never going to hear from him again. Basically.
Exactly that. Thank you.
Not saying this guy was a 5-tool player, but remember several years ago, the Rays signed Carlos Colmenares.
Yeah,
and again, one name, one example, but he hasn't done like anything. I think he was hitting 200 in AA last I checked. and he was
Yeah.
given a lot of money. And to my point on that, even the well-known names like the Sotos and the Tatis Juniors and some of those guys, you look at the international rankings, and at the time that they're signed or picked up, it's like, oh, Soto was ranked number 25, Tatis ranked number 30. And then
not an exact science, which
you
we're
can't
not
name it.
faulting them, but it's like,
Exactly.
just that's the reality. That's the standard. And I think when fans of the team get like super hyped up about a 16-year-old, it's like, you're losing energy.
Yeah. It's not a smart play.
Not a smart play.
But yeah, it's more so a feel good story for the guys that spent all the time scouting these guys. And then a lot of these players from disadvantaged backgrounds get a nice payday that, hopefully sets them and their families up for life, even if they don't play a game in the majors. Maybe they just make it to high A or double A and then flame out from there. But
they lived their dream. Like they lived it,
I guess what we're trying to say is don't get so hung up on, Cedeno's ranked number 11th, Medina's ranked number 20th. Like we talk about not prospect hugging. This is to another level.
This is on steroids. This is on steroids. Kevin, do we have enough time for baseball trivia and Name That War?
I think we do. I think we can squeeze it in.
Let's do that, guys. Let's do that. Let's get that. Where's Intern McGee with the music? There he is.
Thank you, Intern McGee.
Thank you. Kevin.
Yes.
Bob Uecker passed away. Legend of the game. So here is a Milwaukee Brewer question. Okay. To celebrate the great Bob Uecker. I have in front of me a list of the top 10 total bases getters. Okay. The leaders in total bases for the Milwaukee Brewers, 1 through 10 career. Can you name me 5?
Okay, good question. Brewers. I will say Ricky Weeks, perhaps.
That is correct. He's number 10 with 1,720 total bases.
Okay. Total bases. Ryan Braun.
Ryan Braun is wearing the silver medal as he is in second place with 3,525.
Okay. Prince Fielder.
Prince Fielder is batting 8, in this lineup with 1,904.
Jeff Jenkins.
Jeff Jenkins is right with number 5 there, 2,188.
Shot in the dark.
One more.
JJ Hardy.
Strike 1.
Corey Hart.
Strike 2.
Man, I'm getting
Protect.
I mean, I almost want to say.
I will repeat. You have number 2, Ryan Braun. You have number 5, Jeff Jenkins. You have number 8, Prince Fielder, and you have number 10, Ricky Weeks.
Trying to think. For some reason, Mike Cameron is rolling around in my head, but I don't know if he had enough time with them in comparison to the Mariners. Oh my gosh, who is the guy who played for the Marlins and now plays for the Brewers? Skinny guy with pop, was good for. Oh, he fell off a little bit. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. That's not good. I'm gonna have to circle back on that one. I'm struggling right now.
I will say that there are, I believe, 2 Hall of Famers. I know there's 1 Hall of Famer here, but let me check if this one is also a Hall of Famer. I'm pretty sure.
Like from a long time ago?
I mean, I don't remember them. And yes, they're both Hall of Famers. Of course they are.
Okay. So from a long time ago, you don't remember them?
Yeah, I mean, one played in like 1974 was his debut season, 1974. The other, 78 to 98, maybe a little.
78 to 98. All right, because I can't think of this guy's name. I'll just say Mike Cameron. I know it's a X, but Whatever.
Hey, it's an X, but you went down swinging. Okay, that's good. Number 1, so you're not gonna like this. Robin Yount with 4,730. Number 2, Ryan Braun. Number 3, Hall of Famer again, Paul Molitor. 4, Cecil Cooper. Number 5, Jeff Jenkins. Number 6, Jim Gantner. Number 7, Ben Ogilvy. Number 8, Prince Fielder. Number 9, Dunn Money. That is a great name. Number 10, Ricky Weeks. But how about that name, number 9? Don Money. That's good.
Yeah, it's a good name. I like it. All right. Who was the guy I was thinking of that I can't think of his name? Played for the Marlins, now with the Brewers.
Play with the Marlins.
Left-handed hitter, I believe.
Like now or active?
Yeah,
or
like
when
now. It must not be important enough. It's all good. I'm stalling.
You know what? In the beginning, I thought you were talking about Jazz Chisholm, and I was like, oh, no.
No,
not Yankees.
While I look that up, I'll give you the name that wore also in honor of Bob Uecker, because Bob Uecker was a Major League Baseball player.
Yes, he was.
If you all didn't know, he played for the Brewers. He also played for the Cardinals, and I have a Cardinals war question. This gentleman's name is Ray Langford. What is his Baseball Reference career war?
If you would have told me that he was a Formula One driver, well, let me edit that. If you would have told me that was the name of a NASCAR driver, I would have said, yeah.
He's a recognizable name. I mean, I guess
I've got nothing on this guy.
Okay.
I cannot clock this guy.
So you didn't watch late 90s baseball?
I mean, this is obscure.
Okay. Put it on the comments. Is that too obscure of a name or not?
Say the name one more time. Say the name one more time. Let me see if it rings any old ancient bells.
Ray Langford.
Ray Langford. Why do I think wrongly that he is a pitcher, but he's not?
He is not a pitcher. He is a position player, center fielder.
Okay, thank you. You know what?
Christian Yelich is who I was thinking of.
Thank you. Wow, we really whiffed on that.
Yeah, that was bad.
Gonna have to edit that. Let's see. Ray Langford, a center fielder, 90s, Cardinals, McGuire, a lot of pop. You don't need a lot of pop when you got McGuire on your team. So not a strong guy. Probably fast. You want some dynamic there. Good glove guy. Everybody knows that about Ray.
He's not Jim Edmonds, but
he's no Jim Edmonds. But
if you want to think that, you can.
He was replaced by Jim Edmonds, so that's important.
I guess technically he might have been. Let's
go with 18.3 WAR.
Okay, that is your guess. I implore everybody to put it in their comments without looking. What do they think Ray Langford's career WAR is? Ray Langford, pulling up the numbers here. He played from 1990 until 2004. So age 23 to age 37. He didn't play in 2003 due to a hamstring injury.
Bad.
His second year in the league, he led baseball in triples with 15. He did have some speed at the beginning of his career. 44 stolen bases in a season, 42. Then it dropped down. He was able to get 35 mid-career. But I'll just read off the overall numbers here. 1,561 hits, 238 homers, 272 career batting average, 968 runs, 874 RBI, 258 stolen bases, OPS of 840, OPS plus of 123, on base percentage of 364.
So he was a 200 plus home run and a 200 plus stolen bases.
Yes, he had at least one 2020 season.
Damn.
Looks like he might have had more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2020 seasons.
This guy
almost had a 30 season. Yeah, pretty good. Only
God.
A one-time All-Star though. The steroid era will do that to an individual. All that said, no Gold Gloves, no rings to my knowledge. Just a one-time All-Star, made some good money in his career. just a solid player, and his career WAR is well above what you guessed. 38.2 for Mr. Ray Langford.
I shaved him 20 WAR. I'm sorry, Ray.
Yeah.
I apologize.
We owe him an apology, and we owe Christian Yelich an apology as well. So
yeah, we'll be mailing those out very soon.
yes, we will. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.